There's two things that I've learned, and this is a great thing for your listeners is, if you find yourself being angry by accident, start to practice being angry on purpose. It's like the analogy of how do you teach a dog that's biting to stop biting, right? Is you teach it to bite on command, and then you don't issue the command.
Oh. Phil Phails for you.
So part of my work has been recognizing when I'm angry before it comes out sideways and putting myself in a position to express that anger on purpose, which I can do in a Mankind Project group or on a New Warrior Training Adventure weekend or in a shadow work group or with people that I trust or on my own. It's not as easy in my apartment because there's people around and it might bother them. But I do express my anger on purpose because then it doesn't come out and bite so much.
Yeah.
But it still does.
Yeah.
Shadow is deceptive.
It comes out sideways.
Yep.
All the time.
It comes out where it's not appropriate for the situation.
And you're not even oblivious. You're oblivious to it. You're like, I wasn't. You'll even defend that it wasn't there.
I was not angry.
I wasn't angry.
So
it's like, are you sure?
Yeah. So, that's been a part of that journey. And, those last few years have been about almost like reliving those teen years with some different choices rather than checking out to stay present.
Like reparenting yourself?
Almost, or finding, because I was alone. That was a big sense. The men in my life left. The neighbor left. My brothers left. I was left with my sisters and my mother. And I didn't have any real guidance. I didn't really have anybody that I could lean on. My mother did the best she could. My sisters weren't, they were with their own stuff. They couldn't really help me. So I didn't have a good father figure at really after 10 at all. And I didn't trust men, and I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't have a place to go where someone would go, looks like you're angry. Let's get some of that out, right? So I didn't want to feel all that. I didn't want to feel the fear. So I became aware. I started putting it down, like, all right, don't drink, don't get high. And, I'm feeling angry. All right, well, I better do something productive with that. And I put myself in positions to express it and own it and recognize and just let it be okay that I'm angry.
Yeah.
And I'm angry and there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
It's a normal emotion, even if it looks like it wants to come out sideways. So have compassion for myself for feeling angry and not always handling it right.
Saying that quiet part out loud.
That's it.
I'm angry right now at, I get angry in yoga class too.
I don't even know what it is, but I know I feel angry.
It's funny. It's funny to get angry at a yoga class.
Well, I have this sense of like what's right and wrong. And
I do too.
And I know I'm a hypocrite because, the stuff that I point out about other people, I don't do. But like, there's always somebody that comes in 10 minutes late to the class and swings the door open.
Oh, yeah.
They walk in, look around, they slap their mat.
Yes.
And the teacher's leading a meditative piece. And so I just feel inside, like my body clenches up and I think,
it's inviting
you don't give
you
a
to
shit about anybody.
It's inviting you to accept that. And because I've come in late too, I try not to slap anything around, but I have that exact same, I have that experience. Mm-hmm. I don't want anybody to come late. And so now when I'm rushing to be late, I'm myself judging myself. So I have to try to tiptoe in there. Mm-hmm. But it's important to say like, oh, I could be that person coming in late.
Yeah.
Make that me.
And that's kind of been present for me. It happened this morning and I'm like, okay, my opportunity to let it go.
Yeah.
And to recognize like if that's building up in me, saying let it go and just being mindful can be a way of stuffing it. And that doesn't help. So
you should say like, I don't like when people are late.
Well, here's what I've done. Like, here's a situation, and I do this sometimes and not all the time. I had a guy in the middle of a class, and it was in January when, everybody's coming at the beginning of the year because it's their New Year's
resolution.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's really crowded. And this guy started coming, and like he got up, and it was January. It was cold out. And he went and opened the door and walked outside and stood outside for, a minute, and then opened the door and all the wind came in and he came back to his mat. And so at the end of the class, I went over to him and I introduced myself and I said, "Hey, I noticed you got up and left during the class, and I have an ask of you. And I don't always get what I want, but I've learned if I don't express it, then I just feel angry, and I don't want to feel angry." And I said, "Would you be willing next time just to get closer to the floor, rather than opening the door? Because when you open the door, it impacted me, and I judge it impacts everybody else in here." And he's like, "Oh, well, I thought I was going to pass out." And I was like, "Okay, I understand that."
Oh, because it's hot yoga. Right.
Maybe you could do a shorter class next time. He's like, "Well, I don't usually have that happen." And so the result of that is I know this guy's name. He knows my name.
Right.
And now when he sees me, and I said, "Thank you for hearing me."
Yeah.
Which was a way of expressing my anger, like avoiding the anger, because I said what I needed to say.
Right.
And that's been a big part of my work, to have
in a safe way,
to do it in a way that wasn't attacking.
Yeah,
him.
It was skillful.
It was skillful. I judge it was skillful. And now I see him and he's like, "Hey, Craig.
You're friends.
Hi, Ari. How you doing?" And he hasn't done it again. So I got my point across. So that's what I'm talking about, is like, it's not just, "Oh, I'm going to be Zen here and let it be okay," because that's stuffing it for me.
Okay.
It's about giving it a voice in a skillful or productive way, or in a way that's not attacking them.
Well, you're inviting connection as well. They say, or I've heard the saying, that in order to influence, you have to connect.
Yeah, and I did.
Now he says your name, he says hi.
And that's not always how I do it. Sometimes I just go, "F you for coming in late," under my breath, because I'm not always skillful.
We can't be the Buddha all the time.
Well, that's what I'm working on, and it works more than it does less.
Yeah.
And I teach my clients this stuff, and I tell them, "Look, I'm not perfect at it, but if you want to get results, this is a better way to do it."